Hello, boys and girls. How are you all today? My name is Miss Mika, and I work for Keep Cocke County Beautiful. Some of you guys may have seen me before at your school. Some of you may have seen Miss Greta, who works with me as well. We both do the same thing. We both go around to schools and different places, and we teach kids about the importance of recycling and the importance of not littering and the importance of being proud of the area where you live in and making it a more beautiful place. So, for your summer school program that I'm going to do for you, I heard you all are doing recycling, which is right up our alley. So we're really proud of that, and we hope to see some great things from you guys as you learn this summer all about recycling. So I'm going to read a book to you. We're going to talk about recycling, and then I have a really cool craft for you guys to do that you can do at home. We've got the bags that you all are picking up at school, so it'll have everything in it that you need to make this little craft, okay? All right, so before we get started, I'm going to read to you Michael Recycle meets Litterbug Doug. And I just happened to remember that I forgot to turn on the mirror imaging, so I'm sorry that the words are backwards, but you can just look at the pictures, okay? Michael Recycle meets Litterbug Doug. Oh, and the author of this book is Ellie Bethel, and it is illustrated by Alexandra Colombo. So I wonder who Michael Recycle might be. In a beautiful valley in the shade of a hill was a clean little town that was full of goodwill. Isn't that a beautiful little town? I don't see any litter. I see some trees. Everything looks neat and tidy. But the quaint little town had a problem to face, for on top of a hill stood a mountain of waste. And who was the culprit? Who was the thug? It was lonely and lazy-boned Litterbug Doug. My goodness, look at him. So let's look at this mountain of waste real quick, okay? Waste is another word for trash. And sometimes we use different words when we talk about trash. We call it garbage and trash and waste and litter. All of those actually have different meanings, okay? Garbage is the things that you throw away in your house, okay? That's garbage or trash. Litter is trash that is thrown somewhere where it doesn't belong, okay? So does this trash belong here on this big hill? Of course not. So this is litter, okay, because it is where it doesn't belong. And waste then is just waste is a term used for things that we don't need anymore, okay? Because we use waste when we talk about things that come from our bodies, like when we go to the bathroom, that's a waste. So waste is anything that we don't need anymore, but this is litter because it's trash that doesn't belong anywhere. Okay, so it said who was the culprit? The culprit is the one who was in charge of doing this. Who was responsible for doing this? Who made this big mess? So we said it was lonely. Lonely. He's lonely. That's awful, isn't it? And lazy-boned. That means he doesn't want to do anything, does he? So then, here's Litterbug Doug. So I want you to take a good look at Litterbug Doug right here, okay? Litterbug Doug is just kind of kicked back. Looks like he doesn't care. He looks kind of grouchy, doesn't he? He's got all these little mice friends. So, if you've been in mine or Miss Greta's class, you've heard us talk about that litter attracts animals that carry diseases, and mice is one of them, okay? They also attract cockroaches and different things that carry diseases that can make you sick. So that's another reason why we don't need a litter, besides the fact that that picture was really ugly, wasn't it? And this picture doesn't look very beautiful, does it? Okay, so why do people litter? Why did he do that? Well, maybe there's a couple of different reasons why people litter. A lot of times it's because they don't care. A lot of times it's because they think someone else is going to clean up after them. Okay, so maybe he saw that there was already some litter there and it hadn't been cleaned up. Maybe he really just didn't care. Maybe he does have a bad attitude. You know, different reasons for different people, but a lot of times too, it becomes such a habit. So we're going to see what happens here with this habit, okay? His house was a garbage dump full of old stuff that was rotting and moldy and smelly enough to make your eyes water. The stink was so strong that Doug didn't think he had done anything wrong, and his only real friends were 100 odd rats, except for 2 lounging and big tabby cats. So, he has no friends. Maybe that's why he's got such a bad attitude. He feels lonely because nobody likes him. But then again, why do you think nobody likes him? He lives in a mess, doesn't he? So let's see what happens. From alone on his throne, Doug thoughtlessly threw all manner of litter, and so the pile grew. So it says he thoughtlessly threw. Thoughtlessly means he's not thinking about it. So a lot of times when people litter so much, it gets to be a habit with them, and they don't even think about it. So this guy's not even thinking about what he's throwing. He's just using the stuff and tossing it and throwing it, okay? And that's not a good habit. Sometimes we have good habits, and sometimes we have bad habits, and this is definitely a bad habit. So he threw it, and the pile grew. A rotting banana, some moldy old cheese, faulty fridge freezers, and smashed up TVs. Chewed up old candy that was no longer sweet. All kinds of Doug's clutter was hurled on the heap. So it was all kinds of stuff that he didn't want. And look at these mice. They're having such big fun, aren't they? And then, to the joy of the 100 odd rats, Doug even got rid of his 2 tabby cats. He even threw them away. He's so used to throwing stuff, he just threw his cats away. The cats were so plump that they made the dump fall. Uh-oh. It's going to be a lot of trash, isn't it? And down came the garbage, rats, cats, and all. So it even went down into the city that was once really clean, and now all of his trash is in the city. But then something happened that none could explain. But let me read that again. But then something happened that none could explain. It wasn't a bird, and it wasn't a plane. What could it be? A green-caped crusader. Wonder who that is. Stupendously swooped, descending to earth with a great loop-the-loop. Who could this be? Litterbug Doug, said our green hero Michael. It's a superhero. Littering's wrong. You've got to recycle. Oh, so there, that is Michael. Recycle. And he's telling Litterbug Doug he needs to recycle some of this trash that he has. But Doug just retorted, I won't make amends. I don't need this town. The rats are my friends. So it says he won't make amends. That means that he's not sorry for what he's done, and he's not going to try to do better or to clean it up or anything like that. He says, I don't need this town. The rats are my friends. Would you want to have rats for friends? Do you think they would make very good friends? No, they wouldn't. They'd make you sick. That'd be horrible, wouldn't it? So they're definitely not good friends. But Doug, don't you care that the litter you've hurled is rotting and reeking and polluting our world? It's hard to believe, but I guess it depends. Do you really want rats and not people as friends? He's trying to tell Litterbug Doug that what he's doing is pollution and it's wrong. And really, does he really want rats for friends? Then thinking aloud, Doug said, I suppose. They do give me fleas and they nibble my toes. They make such a racket and their hygiene's not great. That means they're not very clean. I'd love some real friends, but is it too late? Do you think it's too late for Litterbug Doug to have a friend? Of course not, said Michael. All hands on the deck. If we work hard together, we can save you just yet. They formed a big chain from Doug's dump to Michael to sort out the garbage and what was to recycle. So they went through and pulled out all the recyclable stuff and everything else they threw away. And soon all the town was so neat and pristine, the only thing left was to give Doug a clean. Let me turn it over here so you can see. And now he was neater and he no longer smelled. So they gave him a job at which Doug excelled. Now watch out. Don't litter or drop one small piece. He's there in a flash. Doug is the litter police. He's going to write you a ticket if you littered. And his rats are helping him. All right. So, we just saw a person who made a lot of trash, didn't we? Okay, so every American every day makes almost 4.5 pounds of trash every day. So you may be sitting there thinking, how in the world could I make that much trash? Well, what they do is they take the amount of trash that's made every day and they divide it out by how many people are living in America, and that's what they get. So some people may make more trash, some people may make less trash, but all in all, we probably make about 4.5 pounds of trash. So you think about your day at school when you do get to go to school. I know you've been out for a while, but think about when you do go to school. If you eat breakfast at school, you have all of that trash that's made from just what you eat, from the tray, the milk or juice carton, the spork and the wrapper and the napkin, and then the containers that hold your food. And you think about all of the containers that the cafeteria ladies opened up to cook for you. You think about that same amount of trash at lunch. You think about all the paper towels of all the kids in the school who wash their hands at least 4 to 5 times a day. You think about the papers that you throw away that you're finished with at school, any Kleenexes that you might use in school and throw away. You think about all that stuff, and then when you get home, all of the trash that you make at home when whoever does the cooking in your family cooks supper, and like if you go and you buy something and you open up the package. So we do generate a lot of trash, and if you go out to eat at a restaurant, there's even more trash because each thing is individually wrapped and packaged, and you think about they had to open up boxes and containers to make your food. So there's a lot of trash involved. So we do make a ton of trash, okay? So with all of that trash, one thing that we try to teach kids is that how to make less trash. So you may have heard of the 3 R's before, called reduce, reuse, and recycle. Okay, so reduce means what can I do to make less trash? Okay, so that could be choosing to not eat at restaurants a whole lot. You know, choosing to use reusable things like a reusable lunchbox. Instead of using sandwich bags, use reusable containers. Instead of using paper towels, use cloth napkins to dry things, or cloth dishcloths to dry things or dry your hands or whatever. So that's some things that we can do to make less trash. Then the next step, after we've thought about all those things and how we can make less trash, and a lot of times it could be too, even the things you buy in the store. You could buy a box of cereal that has a box in the paper bag, or the plastic bag. That's 2 pieces of trash, right? Or you could buy the cereal that comes in just a bag and have 1 piece of trash. So see what I'm talking about? Sometimes it's just thinking about when you're buying things, can I even buy things that make less trash? Sometimes when you buy in bulk, when you buy bigger amounts of things, that creates less trash as well. You could buy 1 big can of beans instead of buying 3 smaller ones for your family, okay? So it's just things like that, things of what can I do to make less trash. Maybe, you know, if you use paper plates at home, don't use the paper plates and use real plates. I know that makes, you know, work sometimes, and I'm guilty of using paper plates myself sometimes. I try not to, but I'm guilty of it myself. But it's just all the different things that we can do to make less trash, okay? So when we have done that, when we have looked at all the ways to reduce our trash, the next thing that we do is we look at how to reuse some things, okay? So reusing could be taking a peanut butter jar and cleaning it out and maybe using it. Maybe your dad makes things, and maybe he could use that peanut butter jar to store his nails or his screws or bolts or washers or something like that in, okay? So that's doing things like that, and we're actually going to do a reuse project at the end of this lesson, okay? But then after you've done that, after you've picked out the things that could be reused, and you know, since a lot of people's been at home and not been out a lot, there's been a lot of people who've been cleaning out things and going through things. And so instead of taking that stuff to the dump, here's another reuse thing. You can take it and donate it to a local ministry like Empower Cocke County and let them sell it, because one man's trash is another man's treasure, right? So somebody may find those things useful, okay? Especially your clothes and old toys and stuff that are still in good shape. Take them there and donate them to them. Then they take the money and they help people who are struggling with drug addiction and different things like that. So it goes for a good cause. So that's a way to reuse things, is to donate them and to pass them on to someone else, okay? So then when you have reduced and when you have reused, the last step is to recycle, okay? So we look at everything that we can in order to recycle, okay? So in our county, if you live in the Newport City limits, you have curbside pickup. Okay, all you have to have is a blue container, and you have to set it out on the days that recycling runs. I think it's on Mondays and Tuesdays. And you put everything in there that's recyclable. You don't have to sort out anything. You just put it in there. They come by and pick it up, and they sort it for you, and they take it to the recycling center that is across from Newport Utilities on Cocke Boulevard. Okay. Behind that gas station. I think it's Marathon gas station, but anyways, it's behind there. Okay, so you take that's where it goes, and then they bail it up and they send it to the places where it needs to go. Okay, if you live in the county, though, we don't have curbside pickup. We don't have people who come by and get our trash. We have to take our trash to the dump. That's what we all call it. That's what I call it. But actually it's a convenience center, because the county is providing us a means to get rid of our trash, and that's a convenience for us instead of trying to figure out what to do with it. So when you take your trash to the dump, one side is for the trash, but there is sections that are just for your recycling. So in our county, we accept paper and cardboard and number 1 and 2 plastics and aluminum. So with the COVID-19 epidemic, we have not been able to pick up cardboard right now. So if you could just hold on to your cardboard, because we do take that and we do recycle that. But right now it's not being able to be picked up. The inmates usually take care of that, and they're still on lockdown. So cardboard's pretty piled up at the convenience centers. Just hold on to it if you can, please. And as soon as everything opens back up and everything, that'll be emptied and taken care of. The county had been accepting paper. I'm not really sure of all the details of that and why they are not now. But if you need to recycle your paper, message me, Keep Cocke County Beautiful, or you can message me personally, Mickey Henderson, or you can email us at kccbdirector@gmail.com. I have a source who will accept your paper for you and recycle it. Okay, there are some ways to do that. Okay, now we are still accepting number 1 and number 2 plastics. Okay, so how to find out if a plastic is a number 1 or a number 2? You look at either the bottom of a plastic container, or you look around the sides of it, and you find a triangle that is made with chasing arrows, and that's the recycle symbol. Okay, so inside of the recycle symbol there'll be numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so about 85% of the plastic bottles that you have in your house are going to be a 1 or a 2. Okay, if you have any water bottles or bottles that have Coke or Dr. Pepper or Sprite or anything like that in them, those are all going to be 1s. If you have Gatorade bottles, those are all 1s. If you have ketchup and mustard and mayonnaise, those are all 1s. If you have any kind of bottles that have cleaner in them, or shampoos or conditioners or lotions, those are all 1s. Your 2s are your water jugs and milk jugs and detergent bottles and all that stuff. So there is a lot of things in your house that are 1s and 2s. There are a few things that are not, and those would need to be reused rather than thrown away. If you buy your butter in a plastic bowl, or some of you may cook with like shed spread or something like that, those bowls are a number 5. Okay, so when you get done watching this, or since you're watching at home, you can pause it, you can go to your refrigerator, check some of this stuff out, and look for the little triangle and look for the number inside of it, and find a 1, a 2, And 5s are the most common, 1, 2s, and 5s. Sometimes you do find 3s, and 4s are plastic shopping bags. I'll talk about those here in just a minute. And then 6s are styrofoam. So try to avoid using styrofoam if you can, because there's nowhere that recycles it, not even close. And then 7 is just a Mod Podge of all kinds of different plastics, okay? So you could go and check and look at these things. Yogurt cups are a 5, so they can't be recycled either. And that might be about it on that, okay? So now, you can take your 1s and 2s to the convenience center, and there is a blue trailer that has like a little hitch on it and has top lids that lift up. That's where your plastic goes, okay? One side's plastic and one side's aluminum. Put it in there and it will be taken and recycled, okay? If you have plastic grocery bags, you can take your plastic grocery bags back to Lowe's and to Walmart and to Food City. And right when you walk in the doors, usually like Walmart's in between the 2 double doors, they have plastic here, so you can put your plastic there and they will recycle the shopping bags and make them into new shopping bags. Food City West has theirs right outside the door before you ever walk in. Food City East is right when you walk through the door on the left, and Lowe's is when you walk in between the first set of doors on the left, okay? So you can put your plastic bags there and they'll be recycled, okay? So we've talked a lot about recycling here, and I'll get onto aluminum here in just a minute, but I just happened to think I didn't even tell you what it meant to recycle, did I? So recycling is taking an object and making it into something new, okay? Not that it's being reused, it is made into something totally new. So a plastic bottle could be turned into a plastic shopping bag, or some of your clothes that you wear have plastic fibers in them. If you wear like Under Armour and stuff like that, that has synthetic fibers in them. That synthetic fiber is plastic, okay? Alright, so it gets made into something totally new. It might be made into a reusable shopping bag. It might be made into another plastic container. But it just gets made into something else new. That's all that recycling means, okay? Alright, so that plastic's going to be turned into all kinds of different things. Why is it important to recycle plastic? Well, plastic is made from some basic components, and one of those is crude oil from the ground. And you guys know how precious that is, about trying to save on gas and oil and all that, because it's a fossil fuel and it takes thousands of years for it to create. And once we've tapped into it, we're not going to have any for a really, really long time. So we need to try to save how much plastic we use. So that's why we need to recycle plastic, because it is made from some precious elements that are really considered non-renewable. That means that they can't be replaced anytime soon. So that's why it's so important. Now, you can recycle plastic, but it's going to reach a point at which it can't be recycled anymore, and then it gets thrown away. Okay, paper is the same way. We know how important it is to recycle paper and save trees and all that stuff. Well, trees are the same, or paper is the same way. You can recycle paper so many times, and then it starts losing its strength, just like plastic, and then it has to be thrown away. So when it reaches the stage to where it's become a paper towel or toilet paper or Kleenexes, that's when it gets thrown away, because we don't recycle that stuff. That's nasty, isn't it? So we don't recycle all that stuff. So yes, when you go to the bathroom, yes, you are using recycled paper. So that if you recycle at school, who knows, you could be blowing your nose with your old math test, I don't know. Anyways, all right, so now we're going to talk about one more thing that we recycle. So we do recycle paper and cardboard, and we do recycle plastics 1 and 2, but we also recycle aluminum. Okay, so aluminum is made from bauxite ore that they have to mine down into the ground and get. So that's another reason why it's so important to recycle aluminum, because anytime you have to dig down into the ground to get bauxite ore or crude oil or anything like that, then that causes land pollution, water pollution, air pollution when you have to dig down into the ground. So we definitely don't want to do things like that, okay? All right, so aluminum, the cool thing about aluminum is that aluminum can be recycled over and 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 over, and it never loses its strength, Okay, so when you open up a can of Pepsi or Sprite or Dr. Pepper or whatever and drink it, you could be drinking from aluminum can that's been recycled hundreds of times. And the cool thing too about the recycling process for aluminum, it's super quick. When you recycle an aluminum can, it'll be back on the shelf in 60 days as a new aluminum can. May not be Pepsi, may not be Sprite, but it'll be something else, and that's pretty cool, isn't it? Another cool thing about aluminum is that that's the one thing that you can recycle, and that you can take to a recycling center and you get money back on it. The rest of the stuff you don't. But this stuff, you do get money back. So that's why a lot of people do recycle aluminum cans, okay? All right, so let's see here. Out of the 4.5 pounds of trash that Americans make, 33% of that gets recycled. That's not much, okay? Out of 4.5 pounds, 33% of that gets recycled. That means about a third of that gets recycled. So you're looking at around a pound of that stuff's getting recycled. Now, it could be that you're recycling plastic or paper. Paper is the most recycled thing that we have. Then aluminum, and then plastic. So we definitely need to focus on recycling more, okay? And we talked about that we need to make less trash, but why? Well, because our trash goes to a landfill, and once a landfill is full of trash, that's it. We can't put any more trash in, and then we have to make a new landfill and take away animal habitats and all that stuff. And landfills also can produce, they produce methane gas that causes air pollution. They can, there's leachate, which is trash juice that leaks out of trash bags that can get into groundwater supply. So we definitely want to save space in a landfill. And we want to try to create less air pollution and less water pollution for sure, okay? All right, so another way to recycle too is composting, okay? Composting is when you take your kitchen scraps and your yard waste and you let it rot down naturally through the help of bugs and things like that, in the air and the water, and it creates a brand new product. It creates a soil-like compound that's kind of like dirt, but kind of not. But it's more like a fertilizer that you can put on your garden and help it to grow, and not use chemical or man-made fertilizer, okay? And that is a form of recycling as well, okay? So when I tell you this number, you're going to think, wow, that's pretty amazing. But when you think about it, each American makes 4.5 pounds of trash every day. And we've got, I don't know, like 1 billion people who live in America. I don't know, there's tons of people. And you take every day, 365 days a year, and multiply it by all the people in the United States. That is billions and billions of tons of trash, okay? So about 85 million tons of that gets recycled or composted, okay? That sounds like a lot, but it's really not. It's still like a third of our trash, okay? So we're still sending 2/3 of it to a landfill, and a lot of that stuff can be recycled, okay? All right, so to start recycling, you don't have to do everything all at once. Okay, you can pick one thing as a family and say, okay, this is what we're going to recycle, okay? Because, when you think about paper, you guys, I think Edgemont's pretty good about recycling, and if there's other schools that are listening besides Edgemont, a lot of the schools are pretty good about recycling their paper, but a lot of times they think it's just notebook paper. But there's all kinds of things that are paper that can still be recycled, that you can recycle at your home. So it's not just the paper that you use to do your homework on. You can recycle catalogs and your junk mail and newspapers, and you can recycle if you have coloring books or old magazines or old books laying around you that you don't want and they can't be reused or given to somebody else. You can recycle those. You can recycle your Kleenex box. You can recycle the toilet paper roll and paper towel tubes. You can recycle the box that pasta comes in. You can recycle a cake mix box. You can recycle a Little Debbie's snack box. You can recycle if you go buy a new pair of shoes, you can recycle that shoe box. There are all kinds of things that we can recycle that we don't think about. Cereal boxes can be recycled. There's so many things that are paper that can be recycled. Now, all those guys are paperboard. Cardboard is corrugated. Cardboard has layers to it. So they have a top layer, a middle layer, and then they've got the little layer in between that makes little zigzags. That's cardboard, okay? Still made out of trees, okay? But all of that stuff can be recycled, and a lot of that stuff we send to the dump, okay? So, not that I'm the trash police and go look at stuff, but, on Mondays and Tuesdays, if you're in town before they have went and picked up the recycling, you can see what people are recycling as you drive by. And people have boxes in there, cardboard boxes and stuff like that. You may even see newspapers in there. But I think people don't realize that you can recycle your cereal boxes. You can recycle even the little boxes that pudding comes in, pudding mix. You can recycle that stuff. If it's made out of paper, you can recycle it, okay? So just be mindful of that. So if your family's sitting there and you're saying, hey, we're going to recycle something. Well, if you're going to recycle paper, you can recycle all paper products, okay? Maybe you want to recycle just cardboard. That's okay. Recycle the cardboard. Maybe you want to say, hey, we'll recycle aluminum cans. You can do that too. Or maybe you decide that you're going to recycle plastics, okay? You can pick one and get used to doing that. Have you a designated place to put those recyclables and just get into a habit. It's just a habit, just like buckling your seatbelt's a habit. When you get in the car, the first thing you do is you buckle your seatbelt. When you're crossing the road, you look both ways. That's a habit. When you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth. That's a habit. Well, recycling is a habit too, just like all of this other stuff, okay? So instead of throwing everything into the trash can, just have you something sitting beside the trash can that is for whatever object it is that you're wanting to recycle, whether it's plastic or aluminum or whatever, and just train yourself to, instead of throwing it in the trash, put it in this container until it's full, and then take it to the convenience center. You can take it to Newport Recycling Center and drop it off, and they'll recycle it for you. Myers Diversified. Myers Diversified. That's just right outside of town, coming towards Bridgeport. They accept things. So just pick one thing and get used to it, and then when you get used to that, add in something else until you get used to that, and then add in something else, okay? Until you have a good habit of recycling rather than throwing everything in the trash, okay? It's super, super important. All right. So let me see. That was some of Michael Recycle's tips in there too that I gave you, okay? All right. So we talked about paper and we talked about the aluminum. All right. So, like I said, just pick you out something to recycle. Get into the habit of doing that, and then add in something else, okay? All right. If you have any troubles with anything, you can always reach us at any of those places that I mentioned before, or you can email us at kccbdirector@gmail.com. I'm happy to answer your questions, help you try to figure out things. There's some things that our county doesn't take, like there's nowhere to take steel cans. So I keep those and use those for projects and stuff, and that's actually what you guys are going to be getting to make a project with today, okay? We don't recycle glass either, and there is nowhere close that even recycles glass, because I think even Knoxville has stopped accepting glass, so that's a bummer on that. But you can try to buy things that aren't in glass containers. We don't buy much that's in glass, so I know it's kind of a bummer, but that's just the way. Glass is kind of expensive to recycle, and at recycling centers and stuff, glass tears up the machines and stuff. Okay, so a couple other cool things to talk about before we do our craft. Inside of your bags, I will include a link to a video that will show you how a recycling center works. Because when all of your recyclables, all the things that are able to be recycled and you've chosen to recycle them, when they get sent to a recycling center, they get sorted out. They put the paper in one place, they put the cardboard in one place, they put the plastics in one place, and they even divide the plastics out by 1s and 2s, and if they take more things, it'll be the other numbers, and they sort out by aluminum, and they sort all that stuff out, and then they bale it just like a farmer bales hay, okay, except for instead of coming out in big round bales, they're going to be big cubes. Okay, so I will send you that. It's going to be a link to a video, and you can watch how a recycling center sorts out everything and bales it, and then they send it to different companies, and those different companies, if it's metal, they'll shred it and melt it and make it back into new aluminum things. If it's plastic, it gets shredded and melted down. If it's paper, it's going to be shredded and mixed up in a big huge mixer and made into paper. Okay, they put bleach in, or well, chemicals and stuff in to dye the paper and all that stuff. So anyways, they have big rollers where they press it out flat and all that stuff. So it's pretty cool to see how a recycling center works. I might even include like directions for you guys to make your own paper. And that's a good recycling craft. I'll give you some directions on how to do that as well. That would be fun to do. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a craft. Okay, a reusable craft. We're not going to recycle, we're going to reuse. But your instructions for making paper will be recycling, because you will be taking that paper or whatever it is you're using, and you're going to make brand new paper out of it. Okay, this is just reusing. I'm going to take it and make it something, give it another use. Okay, so actually this is going to be a really cute thing that you can put outside. So inside of your bag you have a steel food can, okay, and you have a container of yellow paint and a container of black paint and a paintbrush. All right, so you will need to paint your can all yellow, and then you will need to paint 2 black stripes on your can. Okay, then let that dry. All right, then you're going to be given some wings. You're going to have 2 wings. You'll need to glue your wings onto one side of your can. Okay. You will have some rope, yarn, string, something. Okay. You will need to glue that rope on. I put mine under my wings to hide it. Then on the flat part of the can, you're going to glue on your googly eyes, and you can draw a mouth. Then you have made a cute little bee to hang up on your porch. Isn't that cute? All right, so that's a great reusable project. All right, so we would love to see pictures of these. Okay, we would love to see you guys make paper. Okay, so if you do any of these projects and you take pictures, please send them to us on Keep Cocke County Beautiful, our Facebook page, or you can email them to us at kccbdirector@gmail.com. We'd love to see these pictures, and we'll put them up on Facebook and show what you guys have been doing and making, and that would be so awesome. All right. I hope you learned a lot about recycling today. I hope you guys choose to recycle something in your home if you're not already recycling. If you are recycling, I'm very proud of you. Good deal. Keep it up. And if you've decided today to start recycling, I'm very proud of you. Keep up the good work. And if you've not, that's okay, because, you know, everybody's different. So, you know, just at least be mindful of how much trash you're making and that it takes up space in a landfill, okay? All right, guys. Well, I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I hope you all have a great summer. And hopefully I'll see you all later, okay? Bye.